The stars outside the window looked cold and distant. Inside the spaceship, everything was quiet. It was the middle of the night shift on the Aegis. The Aegis was a ship from Earth, part of the United Earth Alliance. It was not the biggest ship in the galaxy, but it was strong. It was built to travel far and to protect human colonies. On the bridge, Captain Tom Miller sat in his command chair. The chair was comfortable, covered in soft black leather. Tom held a warm cup of coffee in his hands. He took a slow drink. The coffee was dark and bitter, just the way he liked it. He looked at the big screen in front of him. It showed the empty space of the outer rim. There were no planets nearby. There were no other ships. It was just the quiet darkness of the universe. Tom was a man in his 40s. He had short brown hair and a face that looked tired but calm. He had been a captain for 10 years. He had seen many things in space, but right now he just enjoyed the peace. He liked the hum of the ship's engines. It was a low sound that made him feel safe. "Status report," Tom said quietly. His voice was low and deep. Lisa Park sat at the front of the bridge. She was the tactical officer. She was younger than Tom, maybe in her late 20s. She had long black hair tied back in a tight ponytail. Her eyes were sharp and she always sat up straight. She was very good at her job. She moved her fingers over the keyboard in front of her. The keys made soft clicking sounds. "Everything is normal, Captain," Lisa said. She did not look back at him. She kept looking at her screens. "Long-range sensors are clear. No traffic in this sector. The engines are running at 30% power. We are on course." Tom nodded his head. "Good. Keep watching. It is too quiet. Are you expecting trouble, sir?" Lisa asked. She turned her head slightly to look at him. "No," Tom said. "But in space, trouble finds you even if you are not looking for it." Tom finished his coffee and put the cup down on a small table next to his chair. He leaned back and closed his eyes for a moment. The bridge was dark, lit only by the blue glow of the screens and the red lights from the control panels. It was a routine patrol. They were just checking the area to make sure it was safe for other human ships to travel through later. Suddenly, a loud beeping sound broke the silence. It was a harsh, loud noise that made Tom open his eyes quickly. Lisa sat up straighter. Her hands moved faster over her keyboard. "Captain," she said. Her voice was louder now. "I am reading a massive energy spike. It is very close." Tom sat forward in his chair. "Location?" "Right in front of us," Lisa said. It appeared out of nowhere. It was not there a second ago. On the main screen, the empty space changed. The stars seemed to bend and twist. A huge ship appeared. It was massive, much bigger than the Aegis. It was shaped like a giant gray stone with sharp angles and heavy metal plating. It looked ugly and dangerous. The metal was dark and scarred, as if it had been in many battles. "Identify," Tom ordered. "I cannot get a clear match on the database," Lisa said. Her fingers flew across the keys. "But the design looks Kryler. It matches the descriptions from old reports." The Kryler. Tom knew the name. They were a race of lizard-like aliens. They were strong and they liked to fight. They were not friends of humanity. The big ship turned its front toward the Aegis. A red light began to glow on the underside of the alien ship. "Shields up," Tom shouted. He slammed his hand onto the arm of his chair. "Red alert. Get the crew to battle stations." Before Lisa could finish her command, the alien ship fired. 2 bright green beams of energy shot across the darkness. They hit the Aegis hard. The whole ship shook violently. Tom was thrown from side to side in his chair. Sparks flew from the ceiling panels. The lights on the bridge flickered and turned red. An alarm siren began to wail. "Hull breach on deck 3? Lisa yelled over the noise of the alarm. "Shields are holding at 80%, but they are dropping fast." "Return fire," Tom commanded. "Target their weapons." Lisa pressed a button. The Aegis fired its plasma cannons. Blue streaks of light shot out from the human ship and hit the alien vessel. But the alien ship had strong shields. The blue beams hit an invisible wall around the alien ship and disappeared. They did no damage. The alien ship fired again. This time the hit was worse. The floor shook so hard that Tom almost fell out of his chair. Smoke started to fill the bridge. "Report?" Tom yelled, coughing from the smoke. "Main engines are offline." A voice came from the back of the room. It was the engineer. "We lost power to the thrusters." "Communications are jammed," Lisa said. She looked worried, but she kept working. "They are blocking our signal. We cannot call for help." Tom gripped the sides of his chair. He looked at the big screen. The alien ship was not moving to finish them off. It was just sitting there, blocking their path. It was like a cat playing with a mouse. "Captain, I am receiving a transmission," Lisa said. "They are hailing us." "Audio only." "Put it through," Tom said. He took a deep breath and tried to look calm. A loud, hissing voice filled the room. It sounded like a snake talking, but deeper and angrier. "Human vessel," the voice said. "I am Commander Zarag of the Kryler Dreadnought. You are trespassing in our space. You are weak. Your weapons are useless against us." Tom pressed a button on his chair to speak. "This is Captain Tom Miller of the United Earth Alliance ship Aegis. We were on a peaceful patrol. We did not know this was your territory. We will leave immediately." "You will not leave," Zarag hissed. The voice sounded like he was laughing. "Your engines are dead? You are drifting. You have no choice. You will lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. We will take your ship. We will take your crew. You will serve the Kryler Empire." The threat was clear. The Kryler did not take prisoners. They took slaves. Tom looked at Lisa. Her face was pale, but her eyes were burning with anger. She shook her head slightly. She did not want to surrender. "Commander Zarag," Tom said into the microphone. His voice was steady. "If you attack us, you will regret it. We do not give up easily." Zarag laughed again. It was a terrible sound. "Regret? We are the Kryler? We have destroyed thousands of ships. You are just a small group of humans from a primitive world. What can you do? You have no power. You have no engines. You are trapped." The alien ship moved closer. It was so big now that it filled the whole screen. The Aegis was tiny compared to it. The alien ship locked a tractor beam onto the human ship. A blue ray of light caught the Aegis and held it tight. The human ship stopped moving. They were caught in a trap. "I give you one more chance, Captain Miller," Zarag said. "Surrender now, or we will crush your hull." Tom sat back in his chair. The bridge was chaotic. People were shouting. Screens were flashing red warnings. But inside, Tom felt very calm. He looked at the alien ship on the screen. He thought about his crew. He thought about the history of humans. Humans fought hard. Humans never gave up, even when things looked impossible. Tom stood up. He straightened his uniform jacket. He looked at Lisa. "Open the internal channel," Tom said. "I want to speak to the crew." "Are you going to surrender, Captain?" Lisa asked. She hoped he would say no. "No, Lisa," Tom said. He looked at her with a small, cold smile. "They think they have trapped us. They think they are the hunters and we are the prey. They have made a mistake." Tom pressed the button to speak to the whole ship. His voice echoed through every room and corridor of the Aegis. "This is the captain," Tom said. "We are under attack by a Kryler ship. They have disabled our engines. They demand our surrender. They think we are helpless. But we are not helpless. We are humans. We do not bow to aliens. We do not let them take us. Prepare yourselves. We are going to show them what happens when you corner a human crew." Tom let go of the button. He sat back down in his chair. Lisa looked at him. "What are we going to do, sir?" Tom looked at the massive alien ship on the screen. "We are going to show them that running away was never our plan." The bridge of the Aegis was filled with the smell of burning plastic and sharp ozone. The red emergency lights cast long, dancing shadows against the metal walls. The crew worked quickly, but there was a feeling of fear in the air. The ship was broken. The main engines were dead. The heavy thrusters were silent. Without engines, the Aegis was just a piece of metal floating in the dark. The blue light from the enemy tractor beam held them tight, shaking the ship gently like a predator holding its prey. Captain Tom Miller stood up from his chair. He walked over to the large tactical map on the wall. He looked at the red dot that represented the alien ship. It was so close now. The alien vessel, the dreadnought Zirag, was blocking their path. It was huge and ugly, a fortress of dark iron and sharp spikes. "Report on the damage," Tom said. His voice was calm. It cut through the noise of the alarms. Lisa Park did not look up from her screen. Her fingers were moving quickly, trying to find a way to fix the ship. "It is bad, Captain," she said. "The main power feed to the engines is cut. The reactor is still online, but we cannot send power to the thrusters. The drive system is completely offline. Navigation is dead. We cannot move. We are stuck here." Tom nodded. He did not look surprised. He looked at the view screen. He saw the alien ship getting closer. He saw the small doors opening on the side of the enemy ship. They were launching boarding pods. "Can we fix it?" Tom asked. "How long do we need?" Lisa shook her head. "We cannot fix it from here. The damage is in the engineering section. The relays are melted. Even if we had the parts, it would take days to rebuild the system, and, She paused for a moment. "We do not have days. We have maybe 20 minutes before they board us." Tom walked to the center of the bridge. He looked at his crew. They were scared. He knew they were thinking about their families back on Earth. They were thinking about the stories they heard about the Kryler. The aliens took people as slaves. They worked them until they died. It was a terrible fate. "We cannot run," Tom said to everyone on the bridge. "They are too fast and their shields are too strong. If we try to run, they will shoot us down before we move a mile. So we surrender?" A young officer at the back asked. His voice was shaking. "No," Tom said. His voice was hard like iron. "We do not surrender. We are humans. We fight. But we fight smart. They think we are helpless because our ship is broken. They think we are sitting ducks." Tom walked over to Lisa's station. He leaned down close to her ear. "Lisa," he whispered, "stop trying to restore power to the engines." Lisa looked at him, her eyes wide. "But Captain, if we don't have engines, we are sitting targets for their boarding party." "I know," Tom said. "I want you to access the reactor core directly. I need you to bypass the safety protocols." Lisa's face changed. She looked confused for a second, but then she understood. She was smart. She knew what Tom was thinking. "You want to vent the plasma?" she asked quietly. "Not just vent it," Tom said. "I want to turn the ship into a weapon." On the alien ship, Commander Zerog sat on his throne. He was a large reptilian creature with green scales and yellow eyes. He watched the human ship on his screen. He laughed, a deep hissing sound that echoed in the command room. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Vex, stood next to him. Vex was smaller and thinner than Zerog. He looked at the data screens with worry. "They are not firing back, Commander," Vex said. "Their weapons are powered down. Their shields are dropping. See?" Zerog said, pointing a clawed finger at the screen. "They are weak. They know they cannot win. They are waiting for us to take them. Send the boarding party. Tell them to bring the captain to me. I want him to kneel before me." Vex looked at the energy readings from the human ship. "Commander, the readings are strange. Their reactor output is increasing, but the engines are still offline. Where is the energy going?" Zerog waved his hand dismissively. "They are probably trying to fix their communications, to call for help. It is a waste of time. No one can hear them out here. Prepare the docking bay. We will feast on human meat tonight." Vex did not feel confident. He had studied many races in the galaxy. He knew that humans were unpredictable. But he did not dare to argue with Zerog. Zerog was powerful and cruel. Yes, Commander, Vex said, back on the Aegis. The mood was different. The fear was turning into focus. The crew knew their captain had a plan. They trusted him. Listen to me, Tom said over the ship's intercom. The aliens are coming. They will breach the airlocks in 15 minutes. They expect us to hide. They expect us to be scared. I want you to hide. I want you to barricade the inner corridors. Do not fight them in the hallways. Let them come deep inside the ship. What is the plan, Captain? Lisa asked. She had opened a new menu on her screen. It was a red warning menu that said danger, core overdrive. We are going to let them think they have won, Tom said. We are going to let them get comfortable. We are going to let them capture the bridge. And then Tom looked at the image of the reactor core on Lisa's screen. It was a sphere of pure energy. Usually the ship used that energy to fly. But if they released all that energy at once, it would not make the ship fly. It would make the ship explode. If we explode now, Lisa said, doing the math in her head, we will destroy their boarding party. But their ship is too far away. The explosion won't reach the main vessel. I know, Tom said. We don't want to just explode. We want to direct the blast. Like a bullet. Lisa's eyes opened wide. You want to turn the antimatter core into a directed energy cannon? Captain, that is impossible. The ship wasn't built for that. If we do that, the structural integrity of the ship will collapse in seconds. We don't need the ship to hold together for long, Tom said. We just need it to hold together long enough to aim at them. Lisa looked at the screen. She saw the tractor beam latching onto the hull of the Aegis. The aliens were pulling them in. The tractor beam was a magnetic lock. Captain, Lisa said slowly, they are using a magnetic lock to pull us. If we reverse the polarity of our hull plating and then overload the core, the energy will travel along the magnetic beam. It will go straight back to their ship. Tom smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had accepted his fate. Exactly. We will use their own trap against them. They are pulling us in. We are the bait. And we are the bomb. Initiate protocol retribution, Tom commanded. Lisa typed in the command code. The keyboard turned red. On the bridge, the lights changed from red to a deep purple. A low hum began to vibrate through the floor. It was the sound of the reactor getting ready to explode. Warning, the computer voice said. Core temperature rising. Safety protocols offline. Structural failure imminent. Turn off the voice, Tom said. The ship shook again. The alien boarding pods had attached themselves to the hull. The sound of cutting torches could be heard through the metal walls. Zzzzzzzt, they were cutting through the airlock. Tom sat back in his chair. Lisa, open the blast doors on the bridge. Let them in. Captain? Lisa asked. Trust me, Tom said. Lisa pressed the button. The heavy blast doors that protected the bridge slid open. The long corridor to the airlock was dark and empty. The sounds of the aliens cutting through the metal were louder now. They were coming. Are we ready to die, Captain? Lisa asked. She looked at Tom. She was not crying. She looked ready. We are not just dying, Lisa, Tom said. We are sending a message. The sound of metal cutting against metal echoed through the corridors of the Aegis. It was a harsh, screeching noise, like a knife scraping against a plate. The aliens were cutting through the outer airlock doors. On the bridge, the crew listened. They were silent. They did not move. They were waiting for the order to fight, but Captain Tom Miller had told them to wait. Lisa Park sat at her station. Her hands hovered over the controls. The screen in front of her showed a countdown. It was a red timer ticking down. Core overload in 12 minutes. The reactor was getting hotter. The energy inside the ship was building up, but they were not using it to move. They were storing it. They were turning the ship into a giant bomb. They are inside, a voice said from the intercom. It was a security officer near the airlock. They have breached the hull. The boarding party is entering Deck 4. Tom stood in the middle of the bridge. He watched the main view screen. The alien ship was still there. It was massive. The blue light of the tractor beam connected the two ships. It looked like a giant rope pulling them in. "Do not engage them yet," Tom said over the intercom to his crew. "Let them move through the ship. Let them think they are winning. Retreat to the inner bulkheads. Lock the blast doors only after they pass them." On the alien ship, Commander Zarag was watching the video feeds from the boarding party. The video cameras on the Kryler soldiers showed dark, empty corridors. The lights were flickering. There was no resistance. No humans were shooting at them. "They are running away," Zarag said, laughing. "Look at them. They hide in the dark like rats. They are afraid." Zarag sat on his chair, looking pleased. He thought this would be an easy victory. He wanted to capture the human ship and study it. He wanted to take the humans and sell them. "Proceed to the bridge," Zarag ordered his soldiers. "Capture the captain. Do not kill him unless he fights. I want him alive." Sub-Commander Vex stood near the back of the room. He was watching a different screen. It showed the energy levels of the human ship. The lines on the graph were going up very fast. They were going up in a straight line. It did not look like an engine repair. It looked like a meltdown. "Commander," Vex said. He stepped forward. His voice was shaky. "I need to show you this. Look at the reactor signature of the human vessel." Zarag turned his head slowly. "What is it, Vex? Why do you bother me with charts?" "The energy is unstable," Vex said. "The antimatter containment field is weakening, but it is not breaking by accident. The patterns show that the safety locks are being turned off manually. Someone is overriding the system." Zarag looked at the screen. He did not understand the technical details, but he saw the red warning lights flashing on Vex's console. "Maybe their ship is breaking down from our attack," Zarag said. "No," Vex said. He started to pace the room. "I have studied human engineering. It is primitive, but it is volatile. When they damage their own core like this, it is usually for a self-destruct sequence." Zarag laughed loudly. "Self-destruct? They are thousands of miles from anywhere. If they blow up their ship, they die, and we are safe. We are too far away. They are just committing suicide because they are cowards." "You do not understand, Commander," Vex shouted. He forgot his place for a moment. He was too scared to care about manners. "Look at the tractor beam configuration. We are using a magnetic lock to pull them. If they detonate their core with that specific frequency, the magnetic field will act like a conductor. It won't be a normal explosion. It will send a stream of pure plasma directly back to us." Zarag stopped laughing. He looked at Vex with his yellow eyes. "Are you saying they can hurt us?" "They can destroy us." Vex yelled. "We must disconnect the tractor beam immediately. We must pull back." Zarag growled. He did not like to be told what to do, especially by Vex. He wanted the prize. He wanted the human ship. "No," Zarag said. "We are almost there. My soldiers are nearing the bridge. We will capture the ship and stop the self-destruct ourselves." "You are playing with fire," Vex said. He ran to his console and started to type commands. "I am disabling the tractor beam lock." "Stop him!" Zarag roared. He pointed at two guards. "Hold him!" The guards grabbed Vex. They held his arms behind his back. Vex struggled. "Commander, please." "The humans. They are different. They do not think like us. When they are trapped, they do not try to save their lives. They try to take the enemy with them. Do not attack them. Break the engagement now. If you don't, they will never let you escape." "Take him away," Zarag said. "Throw him in the brig. I am tired of his nervousness." The guards dragged Vex out of the room. Vex screamed one last time. "Disconnect the beam! Disconnect the beam!" Then the door closed and the room was quiet again. Zarag turned back to the screen. The human ship was still there. It looked small and weak. "Prepare the boarding party for the final assault," Zarag said. "Blast down the bridge door. On the Aegis, the sounds of the aliens were getting closer. The security team from Deck 4 had fallen back, just as Tom ordered. The aliens were shooting plasma rifles, but there was no one to shoot at. The humans were hiding behind reinforced walls. "Captain," Lisa said. "They are on Deck 2. They will be at the bridge door in 2 minutes. Tom looked at the red countdown. "Core overload in 8 minutes. Is the magnetic polarity reversed?" Tom asked. "Yes," Lisa said. "The tractor beam is now acting as a pathway for the energy. When we blow, it won't go out into space. It will go straight up the beam and into their ship." "And the structural integrity?" "The ship will hold together for about 3 seconds after the overload starts," Lisa said. "That is all we need." Tom nodded. He looked at the crew on the bridge. They were all looking at him. Some were young. Some were old. They were all going to die in a few minutes. But they were not crying. They looked brave. "Lock the escape pods," Tom said. "Do not let anyone leave," Lisa hesitated. "Sir?" "If anyone launches a pod, the aliens will see it and might break the beam," Tom said. "We all stay. We all fight." "Aye, Captain," Lisa said. She typed the command. The escape pod launchers were disabled. There was no way out now. The sound of the cutting torches was right outside the bridge door now. Sparks flew through the gaps in the metal. The door was glowing red from the heat. The aliens were cutting through the thick blast door. "They are almost here," Lisa said. She picked up a pistol from her holster. She checked the clip. It was full. Tom walked to the center of the bridge. He faced the big door. He straightened his uniform. He wanted to look like a captain when the door opened. "Open the inner blast shield," Tom said. "Let them see us, Captain?" a young officer asked. "If we open the shield, they will shoot us immediately." "Yes," Tom said. "But they want to capture us. They will hesitate. That hesitation is all the time we need." Tom looked at the countdown timer on Lisa's screen. It was getting closer to 0. The hissing of the cutting torches stopped. There was a loud clang as the metal door fell inward. Smoke filled the doorway. Through the smoke, large shapes could be seen. The Kryler soldiers. They were tall, wearing green armor. They held their weapons up. "Target identified," a mechanical voice translated from the alien language. "Fire!" But before they could fire, Tom looked at the screen. The tractor beam was pulsing. The alien ship was pulling them in hard. "Now," Tom said softly. "Initiate overload," Lisa said. She slammed her hand down on the biggest red button on the console. The lights on the bridge did not go out. Instead, they turned so bright that they became white. A deafening roar started beneath the floor. It was the sound of the ship dying. On the alien ship, Sub-Commander Vex was sitting in the brig. He could not see the screen, but he could feel the vibration in the floor. He knew what was happening. He put his head in his hands. "I warned you," he whispered. "I told you." On the bridge of the Aegis, the Kryler soldiers stepped through the smoke. They raised their guns. But they stopped. They saw Captain Tom Miller. He was standing in the white light. He did not have a gun in his hand. He just smiled at them. It was the scariest thing the aliens had ever seen. "Welcome aboard," Tom said. Then the world turned white. The white light was not like the light of a star. It was hotter, brighter, and full of energy. It was the energy of the Aegis dying. On the bridge, the air shimmered. The metal walls began to glow red, then yellow, then white. The sound was deafening, like a scream from the earth itself. Captain Tom Miller stood in the center of the chaos. He did not cover his ears. He did not close his eyes. He watched the Kryler soldiers at the door. For a second, the aliens hesitated. They were confused. They expected to find fear, but they found a man standing calmly in the middle of a burning room. They expected him to beg for his life, but he just smiled at them. Then the wave of heat hit them. It was too fast for them to react. The Kryler soldiers and their weapons turned to ash in a fraction of a second. There was no pain. There was only the light. The bridge of the Aegis, the consoles, the chairs, and the crew were vaporized instantly. The ship did not just explode outward. It unleashed its power in a single, focused direction. Lisa Park's final command had worked perfectly. The antimatter core had ruptured, but the magnetic fields of the ship's hull guided the blast. The explosion shot straight up into the tractor beam. On the Kryler flagship, the bridge was quiet. Commander Zarog sat on his throne, waiting for his soldiers to report that they had captured the human captain. He looked at the view screen. He expected to see the human ship being pulled closer. Instead, he saw a blinding flash. "What is that?" Zarog shouted. He shielded his eyes with his clawed hand. The blue tractor beam that connected the two ships suddenly changed color. It turned from blue to violet and then to a violent, angry white. The beam was no longer a pulling force. It had become a pipe for destruction. The energy from the human ship traveled along the beam at the speed of light. "Hull breach!" An officer screamed. "The energy levels. They are off the charts." "Shields!" Zarog roared. "Raise shields to maximum." But it was too late. The shields were designed to stop plasma bolts and missiles. They were not designed to stop a supernova channeled directly into the ship. The white beam hit the Kryler ship's shields and shattered them like glass. There was a sound like a crack of thunder that shook the entire massive vessel. The beam punched through the nose of the alien dreadnought. It melted the thick alien armor as if it were made of butter. The beam tore through decks, corridors, and rooms. It kept going, driving deep into the heart of the ship. Inside the flagship, alarms screamed. Red lights flashed everywhere. The floor tilted violently. Zarog was thrown from his chair. He hit the hard metal floor and slid across the room. He tried to stand up, but the ship was shaking so hard that he could not keep his balance. "Report!" Zarog yelled. His voice was full of fear now. "The beam!" The tactical officer cried. "It is eating through the ship. We are losing structural integrity." "Cut the tractor beam!" Zarog screamed. "Cut it now!" "We can't," the officer yelled back. "The computer is frozen. The feedback is overloading the systems." The beam of energy from the Aegis had burned a hole straight through the center of the alien flagship. It was not just destroying the ship, it was disabling everything. The blast wave moved through the ship's corridors, incinerating anything in its path. Down in the brig, Sub-Commander Vex sat on the cold floor. He felt the violent shaking. He saw the heavy metal door of his cell glow red hot. He closed his eyes and whispered a final prayer to his ancestors. He had known this would happen. He had tried to save them, but they had not listened. Now the humans had their revenge. On the bridge of the alien ship, the view screen shattered from the vibration. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. Fires started in the corners of the room. "Evacuate!" Zarog yelled. "Get to the escape pods!" He ran for the door, but the floor under his feet groaned and twisted. The ship was breaking apart. The energy beam had severed the main support columns. The massive dreadnought, which had terrorized this sector of space for 100 years, was dying. In space, the spectacle was silent and beautiful. The small human ship, the Aegis, was gone. It had completely disintegrated. In its place was a long, thick line of white fire. The fire connected the empty space where the Aegis had been to the massive alien ship. The beam lasted for only 10 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. When the core of the Aegis was finally empty, the beam faded. The human ship was totally gone. There was no debris left. There was no escape pod. There was nothing. Captain Tom Miller and his crew had erased themselves from existence, but the damage was done. The Kryler flagship was floating in the darkness, smoke pouring from a massive hole in its center. The ship was broken in two main pieces, held together only by a few strands of melted metal. Zarog pulled himself up to a console that was still working. He looked at the damage reports. His hands were shaking. "Main power. Offline," the computer voice said calmly. "Life support. Failing. Weapon systems. Destroyed." Zarog looked out the broken window. He saw the debris field. He saw the empty space where the humans had been. He realized then that the humans had not tried to fight a battle. They had executed a suicide mission. They did not run, Zarag whispered to himself. They did not try to save themselves. They just wanted to kill us. He remembered the face of the human captain in the video transmission. He remembered the man's voice. Asterisk, you will regret it. Asterisk, Zarag had laughed at him. He thought the humans were weak. He thought they were primitive. But he was wrong. The humans were something else. They were terrifying. They were willing to sacrifice everything just to hurt their enemy. Commander, a weak voice called out. It was the tactical officer. He was lying on the floor, covered in blood. The engines? We cannot move. We are drifting. Zarag looked around the bridge. It was a ruin. His crew was dead or dying. His ship was a tomb. He had lost everything because he underestimated a small group of humans. Send a distress signal, Zarag said. The subspace relay is destroyed, the officer said. We cannot call for help. No one knows we are here. Zarag slumped against the wall. He looked at the stars. They were cold and indifferent. He was trapped in a broken ship, slowly running out of air. And the worst part was, he knew he deserved it. He had been warned. He had been told not to attack the humans. He had been told that they would never let him escape. He thought about the phrase, never let you escape. At first, he thought it meant they would chase him. Now he understood the true meaning. They wouldn't let him escape because they were taking him with them. They had turned his victory into a trap. He had captured the Aegis, but in doing so, he had brought the bomb right to his doorstep. The lights on the bridge flickered and died. The emergency red glow faded, leaving them in darkness. The only light came from the fires burning in the control panels and the stars outside the window. Zarag closed his eyes. He could hear the groaning of the metal as the ship slowly broke apart. He was alone in the dark, waiting for the end. And in his mind, the image of the human ship exploding played over and over again. It was the last thing he would ever see. The humans had lost the battle, but they had won the war. They had proven that a human with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous creature in the universe. The silence of space returned to the sector. There were no more explosions. The blinding white light had faded into the darkness. The battle was over, but the wreckage remained. It was a graveyard of metal floating in the cold void. 2 days later, a small ship appeared near the edge of the debris field. It was a science vessel from the Galactic Council. They were not military ships. They were explorers. Their job was to map the stars and study planets. The name of the ship was the Starlight. It moved slowly through the field of broken rocks and melted metal. Its sensors were active, scanning for any signs of life or energy signals. Commander Aris sat on the bridge of the Starlight. He was an old alien with gray skin and large eyes. He wore a long robe and looked at the main screen with a serious expression. His crew was busy at their stations. Report, Aris said. We are entering the debris zone now, a young officer said. It is a mess out here. There's a lot of radiation. It is hard to see clearly. What do the sensors say? Aris asked. Was there a battle between two big fleets? No, Commander, the officer replied. It looks like there were only 2 ships. One was a Kryler dreadnought. It was a huge ship, a warship. The other... The officer stopped and looked at his screen closely. The other ship was very small. It was a primitive design. It looks like a human vessel. Aris leaned forward in his chair. A human ship? Did it run away? No, the officer said. He sounded confused. The human ship is completely gone. There is nothing left of it. But the Kryler ship, it is destroyed. It is split in half. Aris was surprised. The Kryler were known for their powerful weapons and strong ships. They were the bullies of the galaxy. How could a small human ship destroy a Kryler dreadnought? Scan the Kryler ship for survival pods, Aris ordered. Scanning, the officer said. A minute passed. The hum of the computer filled the room. Commander, I am finding no life signs on the Kryler ship. It is dead, but I am picking up a black box recorder signal. It is faint, but it is there. Can we download it? Aris asked. Yes, we can access their computer logs. Do it, Aris said. I want to know what happened. The crew worked quickly. They established a link with the broken alien ship. They transferred the data to their own computer. Soon, the bridge was filled with audio files and video logs from the final moments of the Kryler vessel. Aris listened to the logs. He heard the voice of Commander Zarag. He heard the arrogance and the pride. He heard Zarag laugh at the humans. Then, he listened to the voice of Sub-Commander Vex. He heard the panic in Vex's voice as he warned Zarag about the reactor. Finally, he heard the sound of the explosion and the screams of the dying crew. Aris sat back in his chair. He felt a shiver go down his spine. The bridge was quiet. His crew was looking at him, waiting for an order. Commander, the young officer said. Did I understand correctly? The humans destroyed their own ship? On purpose? Yes, Aris said softly. They did not run. They did not try to surrender. They allowed the Kryler to capture them. They waited until the moment was right, and then they turned their ship into a bomb. But why? The officer asked. They all died. The Kryler ship was destroyed, but the humans are all dead too. They gained nothing. They gained something more important than survival, Aris said. They sent a message. Aris stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. He looked at the large screen that showed the two halves of the broken Kryler ship. The galaxy has underestimated the humans, Aris told his crew. We see their small ships and their primitive technology. We think they are weak. We think they are easy to conquer. But we are wrong. He turned to face his officers. Humans are different from other species. If a Kryler ship is damaged, the Kryler run. If a Turian ship is damaged, they surrender to fight another day. But humans do not think like that. Aris remembered the words from the log. Asterisk, do not attack the humans. They will never let you escape. Asterisk, the Kryler commander learned a terrible lesson today, Aris continued. He thought he was the hunter and the humans were the prey. But he was wrong. The humans are not prey. They are like a virus. If you swallow them, they will destroy you from the inside. The crew looked at each other. They were scared. The idea of a species that would kill itself just to hurt the enemy was frightening to them. What should we do with this information, Commander? The young officer asked. Do we report this to the Galactic Council? Yes, Aris said. But not just as a battle report. We must report it as a warning. We must update the Galactic Codex. Aris walked back to his chair and sat down. He looked at the screen one last time. Open a new entry for the human species, Aris dictated. The computer beeped, waiting for his voice. Subject, humanity, Aris said clearly. Threat level, extreme. Review of engagement between Kryler Dreadnought and human vessel Aegis. Conclusion, the human vessel utilized a suicide maneuver to neutralize a superior force. Aris paused for a moment. He thought about Captain Tom Miller and his crew. He thought about their bravery and their absolute refusal to give up. The humans possess a psychological trait that is unique among spacefaring races, Aris continued. When faced with total defeat, they do not seek survival. They seek vengeance. They will sacrifice their own lives to ensure their enemy cannot survive. Aris looked at his crew. Make sure the warning is highlighted in red. Tell all other ships to stay away from human patrol zones unless they are invited. And tell them, Aris remembered the fear in Vex's voice. Tell them, do not corner the humans. If you leave them a way out, they might take it. But if you trap them, if you think you have won, you will die. They do not fear death. They only fear that their enemy might live. The officer typed the words quickly. On the screen, the entry for humanity was updated. It was no longer listed as a developing species. It was now listed as a high-risk predator species. Commander, the helmsman said, we have finished the scan. Shall we leave? Yes, Aris said. Let us go. This place is a graveyard for arrogant fools. The starlight turned slowly. Its engines glowed blue as it accelerated away from the debris field. As they flew away, the broken ships became smaller and smaller in the distance. But the story of what happened there would get bigger and bigger. The legend of the Aegis spread across the galaxy. It was told in space stations and on distant planets. It became a story that parents told their children to warn them about the dangers of the universe. Years passed, but no one forgot. Whenever a human ship was seen, other ships would give them space. They knew that behind those simple hulls and primitive weapons was a spirit that could not be broken. The humans were dangerous, not because of their ships, but because of their hearts. They were the species that would burn their own house down just to keep the enemy warm,